House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Half a day once again, and welcome back to House to Home, everybody. I'm Jason Salas here, and I think Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty, are we now in a competition for who's got the best virtual background on Zoom?
Hey, we're playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess, because Liz, you are new to the party with a virtual background, so nice background. I like that. Very cool.
Yep, we're still playing with it. We're trying to sharpen our skills in doing stuff like this.
Okay, well, very, very nice. That's a very good introduction. You're coming out swinging. So you are the winner this week of the virtual background, and Gina won last week, so I'm catching up. Well, tell you what, I like the way you phrase that, because sharpen your game is something that prospective buyers want to do right now. Because maybe Gina, just get us started out. Where are we with interest rates and real estate, and is this a opportune time for people to maybe consider different loans if they're looking for a home?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot to our consumers, the buyers out there that we're working with, about what they need to do to position themselves. There are different loans out there, and when I send a customer to a bank, I first ask a series of questions. And sometimes I've run across hesitation. If they don't know me very well, and especially right now, the way we're doing business, there's a lot of distance communication, right? So a lot of them don't understand that my list of 50 questions isn't just because I'm trying to intimidate them, or, some people feel like we're asking a lot of questions because if we find out they're not already prepared to buy a house, they don't have the money set up, that we are not going to work with them. That's not the purpose of the 50 questions. We're asking them a lot of questions so that we can figure out which lender we can direct them to. The banks don't all offer the same type of loans. And unless we know where they're at that particular moment, we don't know where to send them. And then when we do send them, I want to send them with information so they know what to ask the lenders when they get there. Because I do find that unless you, the consumer, ask the lender the right questions, you're not going to get the information you need to make a good decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Liz, have the events of the last 3 months or so, especially locally with the local market, have they caused the types of loans, because there are a great many types, and based on your own personal situation, your debt structure and everything like that, you qualify, as Gina just said, for a particular type. Has that caused some shuffling in the structure of loans?
I think the loans are pretty standard, but they're different types. So if you're military, there's a VA loan. So the veterans loan is 100% guaranteed by the VA, but they have different standards and requirements. And in fact, through their loan structures, it does reflect that the seller has to pay for the escrow fee. So there's certain things that the seller is responsible to do when applying for a VA loan. So as Gina puts it, yes, we do ask a lot of questions, but I would say, do you mind if I ask you these questions? Because it'll help us guide you to the right bank. Now, there's a 97.3 loan, there's a 95.5 loan, there's a 90% loan, there's an 80-20 loan. So the ratios mean 20% down payment, plus you have to pay your closing costs. So there are, so again, when we ask these questions, it has to do with what's your financial standing. If you're going to go get these loans, you have to have monies out of pocket. In fact, when people come to me, oh, I've been pre-qualified, or I've got a qualification letter. So I would say, okay, the loan officer, I'm sure, has explained how much money you have to pull out of pocket. So when you're getting a loan, how much money do you need to go through the loan process? And I always go back to, do you have it in your bank? Is someone giving you the loan? Is your mom or your dad loaning your money to get this loan? So, we ask for permission to go through this process, but as Gina puts it, we want to help get them the best loan possible, but also if there's advantages out there in terms of the loan type, and the less money's down, our objective is to help you, the consumer, find a way to save some money, but at the same time, making sure you anticipate every move. We want you to know these are the steps you need to take, and how can we help you get there? That's our objective.
Yeah, one thing I'm kind of particularly curious about, Gina, is, the world's been turned upside down right now. And until we get back to a point of consistent stability, of course, one thing about a loan is your employment status and your duration with your employer, and your income level and everything like that. How do you foresee the banks, working with that? Because a lot of people went through some very sudden and very shocking changes, obviously.
Well, for the banks, their process is going to remain the same.
Like if you got furloughed in particular, because that's a break in your employment. So
if you've been furloughed, I honestly don't believe because the bank's process is going to be this. They're going to verify your employment. And you're right. One of the qualifications is you must have been employed for a minimum of 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you're furloughed right now, the bank is not going to be able to help you until that status changes. If you're working in a business that is susceptible, like right now, for instance, I'll give you an example. We have several restaurants that are still open right now and have continued to keep their employees on board. Well, what if after June, the PPP funds run out in June and business does not pick up?
Right.
Because, these restaurants are still suffering. They're still at less than 50% capacity. So what if after June, then they start cutting back, or they do end up having to furlough? The type of business you're employed in is going to make the bank have a second look at who you are and what part of the industry you're with. And so, yeah, that part of the verification process remains the same for the lenders, but how they view the risk may change depending on the industry you're in. So absolutely, you need to be diligent out there. You need to understand what's coming down the pipes if you're out there looking for housing.
Okay, and Liz will give you the final response, because of course you are the winner of our inaugural virtual background competition. so you get the final word. And on a very serious note, how do you foresee, maybe, or if you had your crystal ball, how do you think this is affecting the first-time homebuyer market? Because that particular market, it skews younger, it skews people without a ton of money. But I mean, there were considerations that were given to them as first-time homebuyers, but now their employment might be in jeopardy, or their status and everything like that. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of your qualification, you can go to your employer and ask for a written verification that you're employed. Now, even though you're furloughed or laid off, a furlough is a bit different, because furlough is they'll call you back. Laid off is you're done for a while. But what they do is, if the employer says give it 30 days and you're coming back, but if they write a verification letter that you're a permanent employee and that this is your salary, just bear in mind, your loan has to do with your salary. So if your salary is not affected, then you're good. If your salary drops because you're out for 30 days and it drops for that a certain amount, then what happens is then your loan amount drops as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about your numbers. So if you bring in your qualification and it gives you a certain amount and you're good to go with a letter verifying from your employee that you're permanent and this is your salary, then the banks will honor it. But I'm sure the banks will ask additional questions.
And I'm sure you will both ask additional questions, because of course, as you've said many, many times, if we've learned anything from this segment over the last several years, it's that you are there for your consumers, probably now more than ever.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Liz and Gina, from once again, and I can't wait to see what virtual backgrounds you guys use next week. I'm going to come up with something really, really good. So you guys better bring your A game too. And I'll see you next week.
I'll go to Europe next week, Jace.
Europe? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, right on the Riviera, or maybe like on the gondolas. And
anywhere nowadays, right?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, we can go anywhere with a virtual background. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to talking to the two of you, and we appreciate it as always. Bye.
Great week.
Bye.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.